Story 1. It was supposed to be a fresh start, a new year, a time for hope. But what I found that night was nothing but terror. Something waited for me in the snow. And it wasn't a New Year's celebration. It was a nightmare. I still remember that night like it was yesterday. December 31st, a cold, quiet evening. My friends and I had planned a road trip to a cabin in the mountains to ring in the new year away from the chaos of the city. A fresh start, you know. Just the 5 of us, a cozy cabin, and a bottle of champagne to celebrate. Nothing could go wrong. At least, that's what we thought. We were about an hour out when the snow started falling harder than we expected. Thick, heavy flakes that quickly turned the road into a white blur. But we kept going, laughing, joking about how we'd just miss the midnight countdown if we turned back. I could feel something creeping in my gut, though. A tension I couldn't shake. We hit something in the road. I wasn't sure if it was an animal or something else. We pulled over and I told the others to stay in the car, but they insisted on checking it out. Stupid. But that's when it started. I'll never forget it. The moment we stepped outside, we heard it. A faint sound, like whispers carried by the wind. I thought it was the wind at first, but as I walked toward the front of the car, I saw it. Tracks in the snow. But they weren't animal tracks. They were human, and they led into the woods. Just like that, they started and stopped, and I knew we weren't alone. Something was out there, watching us. We argued for a while. Some of us wanted to go back, but the others convinced us to press on. We weren't going to let this weird thing stop us from having fun, right? So we followed the tracks into the woods. I'm not sure what I thought we'd find. Maybe just some prankster or a lost traveler. But what I saw, that was no man. It was tall, too tall, and its eyes, Jesus, its eyes, they weren't human. They were cold, black like the void. And its mouth, it stretched wide into a grin, almost too wide to be real. It wasn't smiling, it was hunting. I froze, my heart stopped. It was like I could feel its eyes on me, burning into my soul. And then it moved, slowly, methodically, like it knew exactly what it was doing, like it had all the time in the world. It was toying with us. But then it spoke. It whispered something. Just one word. Midnight. I should have run, but I didn't. I don't know why. I thought I was just imagining things. But then one of my friends shouted. We turned and he was gone. Just gone. No sign of him, no struggle, no scream. Nothing. He disappeared into the snow as if the earth itself had swallowed him whole. We ran. We all ran back to the cabin, but the snowstorm was worse now, as if the storm had gotten stronger in that instant. We couldn't see the road. The trees were closing in around us. We couldn't even tell if we were still on the path. The snow was blinding. We made it to the cabin, but something felt off. I don't know how to explain it. The air inside was too still. The lights flickered strangely. And when we tried to lock the door, we couldn't. It was like something was holding it shut from the outside. But no one was there. Nothing but the howling wind. We thought we were safe. But as the clock struck midnight, it came, the thing that had been stalking us. We heard its footsteps outside, slow and deliberate. And then the whispering again. Midnight. It wasn't a new year. It was the start of something worse. I don't know how to explain what happened next. The door burst open and that thing, that creature, was in the room with us. It was no longer just a figure in the shadows. It was real. It was right there. Its eyes locked onto mine and I couldn't move. And that's when I realized the truth. The thing wasn't hunting us for food. It was taking us. Every year, every new year, it takes someone. It chooses a victim, and then it becomes part of the snow, part of the storm, until it's ready to return. And we were its next victims. The others disappeared one by one. I didn't even hear them scream. Just silence. And then, when I thought it was over, I heard it. That whisper again, this time right behind me. Happy New Year. I barely made it out alive. I don't know how. But every New Year, every time the snow falls, I can feel it. I hear the whispers. And I know it's still out there, waiting for the next one, the next victim. If you're out there this year, don't be foolish like we were. Don't drive through the snow. Don't think you're safe, because when midnight strikes, it's already too late. Remember, if you hear whispers in the snow, don't look back. Story 2. The New Year's Stalker. I had always loved New Year's. The parties, the countdown, the fireworks lighting up the sky. It was magical. This year, though, I decided to keep it simple. My best friend Emma was hosting a small gathering at her place just outside the city. The drive to Emma's house was uneventful at first. I was on a back road, surrounded by fields covered in snow, with the occasional farmhouse glowing in the distance. The stars were out, and it was quiet. Too quiet. About halfway there, I noticed a car behind me. At first, I didn't think much of it, but then I realized it had been following me for several miles. It wasn't like this was a busy road. Why hadn't they passed me? I tried to shake off the feeling, telling myself it was just someone heading to a nearby town. But as I slowed down for a sharp curve, so did they. When I sped up, they matched my speed. The headlights were blinding in my rearview mirror, and I started to feel that tight knot of anxiety in my stomach. I decided to test them. At the next intersection, I turned onto an old gravel road. It was completely out of the way, but I needed to know. They followed. My hands gripped the steering wheel as panic set in. Who were they? Why were they following me? I didn't waste any time. I hit the gas, the tires kicking up snow and gravel as I sped down the road. The other car stayed right on my tail. The road twisted and turned through the woods, and the trees closed in around me. My heart was pounding so loudly I could barely think. I took another sharp turn, hoping to lose them, but the back end of my car fishtailed on the icy road. For a terrifying moment, I thought I was going to crash, but I regained control, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The other car, still there. I saw a gas station up ahead, its neon sign flickering weakly in the darkness. Relief washed over me. I pulled into the lot, hoping the other car would keep driving, but they didn't. They parked on the other side of the lot, their engine idling. I could see the silhouette of the driver just sitting there, watching me. I got out of the car, trying to act calm, but my legs felt like jelly. The gas station attendant gave me a strange look as I stumbled inside. "Everything okay?" he asked. "There's someone following me," I whispered. He glanced out the window at the car and frowned. "Stay here. I'll call the police." I felt a small sense of safety inside the gas station, but that's when the power went out. The entire place was plunged into darkness. The attendant cursed under his breath and grabbed a flashlight. I stayed close to him, my phone clutched tightly in my hand. Through the window, I could see the car door opening. A tall figure stepped out, their face hidden by a hood. They started walking toward the gas station. The attendant moved to lock the door, but before he could, the figure slammed their hand against the glass. The sound echoed through the silent station, and I jumped back, my heart racing. They pressed their face against the window, and for the first time I saw their eyes, cold, unblinking, and filled with rage.
"Come outside,"
they said, their voice muffled but menacing. "We need to talk." The attendant yelled at them to leave, but they didn't move. Instead, they pulled something out of their coat, a knife. I bolted to the back of the store, my mind racing. The only way out was the back door, but it led straight into the woods. The sound of breaking glass snapped me back to reality. They were inside. I didn't wait to see what happened next. I ran out the back door, the freezing air biting at my face as I sprinted into the trees. Behind me, I could hear their footsteps crunching in the snow. They were shouting something, but I couldn't make out the words. I don't know how long I ran. The forest seemed endless, the trees all looking the same. Eventually, I tripped and fell into the snow, too exhausted to keep going. I lay there, listening, waiting for the footsteps to catch up. But they never did. When the police found me hours later, I was still huddled in the snow, shaking uncontrollably. The gas station was empty when they arrived. The attendant was gone, and so was the person who had followed me. But the police did find one thing, a message carved into the counter of the gas station, deep and jagged. See you next year. New Year's isn't about fresh starts for everyone. For some, it's the perfect time to settle old scores.